you're already fired. Okay, I guess I should open my agenda. It's been a really long Monday.
I hear that.
Okay. All right, it is January 8th, 4:01. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We only have two of us. Roll call of planning commissioners. Howard Tritz.
Here.
All right, Heather Lynn is here. Planning commissioners, Commissioner Munch here. Commissioner Marcella. And Commissioner Fiedler. Howard, we have minutes to approve from December 11th. Did you
I make the motion to approve those minutes.
So I think this brings up a really interesting
Yeah, I know, because I don't really
point.
know how we can approve things without a quorum, but then new members won't have known the
Right.
minutes.
So we may be in a bit of a quandary, except if we do have one proposed new reinstated member of the Planning Commission. And
Oh, sure.
so if the board reinstated that member, then I think we would be able to achieve a quorum on those minutes.
Okay, so we'll table
yeah.
December 11th minutes. Makes sense, Howard? Okay. Do you want to do
Some updates.
updates first?
Yeah. So I'd love to tell Heather and Howard kind of what's happening in CPD and some upcoming items. So we're gonna, after we get through kind of a discussion on appointments for the vacancies on the Planning Commission, I'd love to talk to you a little bit just about the kind of the aspects of the policy recommendation for short-term rentals. But we do have our town hall meeting tomorrow. We'll be introducing EPS, Economic Planning Systems, who has been our consultant, our third-party expert in helping us just review kind of some policy direction that staff has that would be good. We've engaged with them and they have gone into a deeper study to just add some depth to the overall work on short-term rentals and the year-long moratorium that we've been in and investigating what the best outcomes are for our community. And so that's tomorrow night starting at 6, from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock at CMC. And mainly we are not calling on the Planning Commission to ask for, like we did on the last town hall meeting, when we kind of were looking for input. Kind of the focus of this will be EPS and staff CPD bringing forth some of the policy recommendations and findings. So that'll be kind of the focus of tomorrow night's meeting. Then we were chosen to participate in Community Builders, which is going to be a we prioritize looking at growth management in Lake County and kind of identifying what our priorities should be as we look at an expansion of development in Lake County, or how to incentivize the right development in Lake County. So that was a competitive process, and thanks to Heather and Cece, they did a huge amount of, while I was out, of just taking that over the finish line, and they did a great job because we were chosen, which is pretty exciting. It's like I think a $15,000 workshop that is, we don't have to absorb any of the cost on. So that's pretty exciting, and that's gonna be in March. Staff will be attending the International Code Conference for Building Code in March as well. And I think that there's some other trainings that are coming up. CC will be going to the Rocky Mountain Land Use Conference in March, which is a really great conference. There's also, Heather will be gone at Community Builders, but if anyone else on the Planning Commission will extend that Rocky Mountain Land Use Conference opportunity to other members, because someone from the Planning Commission might want to attend that conference as well. Another project that the board or that CPD has been working on is the OHV regulations. And so we do have a work session set with the Board of County Commissioners, or a special meeting with the Board of County Commissioners on Wednesday, the 11th, that we will be introducing a new ordinance and discussing those regulations and the application and review and enforcement of.
When is it?
That's on the 11th?
Thursday, this Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday,
Okay.
not
I
Wednesday.
just want to make sure.
The work session? Thursday the 11th. And then the public hearing on that ordinance will be February 6th, correct? And we are set to, after the town hall meeting on short-term rentals on the 9th, then we will go back and have some discussion with, we'd like to do a work session with the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Commission, or at least put it on the Board of County Commissioners agenda for the 16th to talk about initiating the code amendment for short-term rentals. And we would like to see that public hearing in February, help me out, CC.
February 26th for Planning Commission.
Planning, that's right, so the public hearing that we are planning on the code amendment for short-term rentals on the 26th of February. And then we call for a special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners on the 28th so that we can meet that moratorium deadline with potentially new regulations on short-term rentals. So, yeah, and I will wait to kind of talk about short-term rentals until we go to our next agenda item. And I would just ask the other members on staff if they have any other updates for Heather and Howard this evening.
I don't think so. And do you mind turning on the video?
Oh, yeah, maybe we should see it one another.
I have one quick one.
Yes.
Which also overlaps with this meeting, but at 4:30, we'll be upstairs in the courtroom, we'll be swearing in the new undersheriff.
Oh,
for Sheriff
exciting.
Speckman.
Hey, folks, this is Chris. I don't know what happened, but we just lost audio online. Are you guys still there?
Can you hear me, Chris?
Yes, Howard, I can hear you, but all of a sudden I can't hear anybody else.
I can't either, and I can't see
Okay.
it. The
Well, no,
video,
I was gonna say, yeah, the video wasn't running, which I thought was strange, and now it looks like it's
Yeah.
you, me, and Ann on, because it's
Yeah,
only
well,
showing three
waiting.
participants.
Can you hear us now?
Oh, there you are. Yep.
Okay.
We tried to turn the video on for the owl and then our sound went out. It looks like the video is still not working, so you just don't get a look at us today.
No worries.
All right, thanks, guys.
Did you hear the majority of all of that updates? I think we left off with, we just started talking about your bylaws for the planning commission. Call for 5 regular members and 1 alternate. And we currently have, let me think how many applicants that we have. And we have 5 applicants, correct? CC, we've got, yeah.
5, correct.
Yeah, so we have
4
5.
vacancies.
We have 4 vacancies and 5 applicants at this time. And so CC provided everyone with copies of those applications. I'll just remind the 2 of you that in the past, we did go to interviews the last time that we had a lot of vacancies. But one of the reasons that we did that is because we had so many applicants. So we are in a position where our amount of vacancies and our amount of applicants is fairly close. And so just wanted to certainly turn it over to you, Heather, for your and Howard's discussion on best next steps for staff.
So I don't know that I need to, or feel like there needs to be interviews. I suppose if the commissioners feel like they'd like to interview the candidates, we can leave that up to them, but Howard, what are your thoughts? Would you like to have one-on-ones with these applicants, or do we want to just present our
Well-
recommendation to the commissioners on the 4 that we would like
Heather,
them?
yeah, I appreciate their outlook and their recommendations. They're very capable of people, and so I'd go let them make the decisions. As far as the interviews,
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's I mean, at least in the past, the way we have done it, it's made our recommendation as to the candidates. You know, if there was 1 vacancy and 3 candidates, we've usually made our recommendation to the commissioners. I guess sometimes we haven't, sometimes we haven't, but do we
I
want to
think-
do that, or do we just want to send them all 5 candidates and let them decide on the 4?
and through the years, we've done both ways.
Yeah.
And I'm just as happy send them all and let the board, let the and then her board figure it out. By the way, how many are in the audience?
1.
How many of the PZ people sitting at the table?
Well, it's just you and me.
Yeah, everyone else is either expiring or has unfortunately had to leave the planning commission for other commitments.
Yeah, so we're the only 2 left on the planning commission, Howard, other than these potential.
But everybody else is out there froze today.
Yeah, I think so. They may not have made it. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the letters of interest is here.
Yeah.
Maybe make that clear to Howard.
Yeah, and I think that's, Howard, what you were asking is any of the applicants are here, and yes, we have one, and that's Dave Clark Barrow. And so if Dave would like to speak, you're welcome to speak more than your letter of interest. You're welcome to do that.
I'm sorry, I'm dealing with a bloody nose right now, but I'm excited to apply. I'd be excited to help join the board or join the planning commission. I'm excited to learn and support the development of a town that I care a lot about.
Awesome. Well, I would, I agree that I think we can just pass all 5. I mean, I think commissioners see all 5 anyway, but I guess I would just in the record say that I would, my personal recommendation would be for Dave, Joey, Steven, what's his last name?
Stevens.
Stevens. And I just need someone from Jason, thank you, Maruf. That would be my recommendation out of the 5, but I'm happy, Howard, if you are to just pass all 5 to the commissioners and let them appoint their choices.
I would prefer doing that, Heather.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. We will present that option to the board tomorrow so that they can decide if they would like to interview or if they immediately have a recommendation or have a preference. But we will pass along, Heather, your kind of, the 4 that you thought you think would be a good recommendation.
And then when is the DOLA training scheduled for?
The DOLA training is our next regular meeting, so that's the 22nd.
So we would want people in place by then.
That would be
Hint,
what
hint.
we communicate to the board is that.
Hint, hint.
I wouldn't anticipate that we need to do interviews. I have no reason for that necessarily, but I don't know that
Right, right. So
The
you.
board would have a strong desire to do that.
But I think that's a great point, that if we're able to appoint, we do have Casey McPherson booked for the 22nd of January to
Mhm.
do our annual.
I just wanna make sure we are
board.
able to get that on everybody's schedule. All the new candidate, one is here, but if we could get,
Right.
make sure they know to be here for that date, it's just gonna be short notice for them all.
Yeah, we will start working the, because we'll have 2 weeks, so hopefully, what we can do is send out to all 5, a save the date, we could do that tomorrow. But tomorrow we may know as well. The appointments may happen, so we'll just kind of see how that organically shakes out, but we will make sure that that date is communicated to the new membership if it's been determined, or all 5, if it hasn't, to mark their calendars that that is a very important training date to start off the new year. So.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mhm.
If it matters, Heather, I was assuming your list as 3 appointees and the alternate in that order that you stated names. Is that what you intended, or?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
No. Not
yes,
necessarily.
that is, yes, it is. Sorry, I just was trying to remember
I've got
the order I
real
said
quick,
them.
But yeah, there was like, this one.
Yes, that was my intention, but also if one of the newbies felt more comfortable in the alternate position, then sometimes I feel like that's best too, if that's like something that's communicated.
Okay.
Yeah,
can-
I don't know that any of them identified that in their letter of interest, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
not sure if they would
following the
know to.
same-
Yeah,
thoughts as you. I just wanted to see if you.
Yeah.
That was what you were thinking.
Great. We can, if anyone thinks that there is a benefit in reaching out again to them and saying that, would any of them like to volunteer, or show an interest in being an alternate, and having kind of the idea of a little bit of training under their belt before being put in as a regular member. So if you think there's any merit to that, we can reach out. If you think that we'll just let the applications speak for themselves, then we'll just let that happen.
yeah.
Okay, okay. Sounds good. Baptism by fire is always best.
Well, I think sometimes I feel like we do that and then the alternates like don't show up, or.
Yeah.
It's not, and I don't know, I feel like everybody should show up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think about how many times this past year we've needed our alternates, so yeah, the same level of expectation for an alternate is, we really communicate that they should be at all meetings. It's the only way to really grasp a good understanding of the process, and just having a better wealth of information to when you do have to make decisions.
Well, and they can still participate in all discussions and still have opinion, I just think that it's the only thing you don't do is vote, maybe. Yeah, so
Right.
I think it's like, I think that being an alternate, as long as it's explained to them that way, I think that's, an alternate's not really a bad.
Right, absolutely, and there's been lots of times that their vote has needed to be taken, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that sounds great. Then we will pass that on to the board. And Sarah's here, so she can also communicate that to the board tomorrow as well. And so I think the only other thing that we have for you tonight, and if we're quick, maybe you can make the swearing in. Okay, I've got 17 minutes, I can do it in 15, less than that. So the recommendations that are coming forth, that we're gonna really kind of focus on tomorrow are, or findings, I'm gonna go right kind of directly to the findings, is one, a thought about considering 2 categories for short-term rentals now. And I don't think this will be a big surprise. I think this came from stakeholder feedback, suggestions from both Planning Commission and the board along the way as well. And that is consideration of what we're going to refer to as primary licenses, which are either primarily occupied properties with the ability to add in renters who their landlords allow them to participate in renting, maybe during the trail series or something like that. But they would have to have proof from the property owner that they are indeed a copy of their lease, and then a letter from the property owner that states that they would allow them to participate in short-term rentals. So we would open up that to primary, and then we would have another category which would just be standard STRs. And those are any property that isn't being occupied as a principal residence. The next item that we are looking to add are our environmental protections and kind of life safety. And so one is requiring that septic systems be pumped and inspected every 3 years at the time of renewal. And then also that a fire safety check is done and performed every 3 years. This has been really vetted by the city of Leadville, so it's going to follow a very similar format. We've met with the fire marshal who believes he has capacity for this. Or also because of just the way the moratorium is falling, we have our current licensing that has been able to renew in 2024, which allows them approximately 10 months to become compliant under the new regulations. So before they go to renew in 2025, they will have known what the new policies are. They'll have time to get those septic inspections if they need them. They'll have time to get those fire inspections if they need them. Initially, we're going to offer, the policy recommendation is to offer, if you've had your septic system inspected in the last 5 years, we'll accept that for 2024 and 2025, and then we'll start wanting to see it in that 3-year cycle of pumped and inspected. And again, the same with the fire check, safety check. You'll have approximately 10 months if you were in that ability to license this year. So we're considering that current licenses should have time to become compliant under the new code. The other thing that, we really put an emphasis on preservation of community housing. And so tomorrow we'll be rolling out a map that delineates an area of the community that would be identified as that community housing overlay. Largely that's West Park, Capitol subdivision, or parts of Capitol and Cooper subdivision, Ridgeview, which is also part of West Park, the trailer, or the manufactured home communities would also tie into that, and a little bit of Chicken Hill. And so in those areas, we are suggesting that we would cap the amount of short-term rentals that we currently have in those areas and not allow any more standard licenses. So if we look at what we currently have, 127 STRs in Lake County, and of that we have 19 in this new area that we're going to show tomorrow night in an overlay. And so that would be the total cap that would be allowed to have standard licenses for that area. And again, these are areas that are defined. The variables are cost per square foot is more our low to moderate pricing, access to food access, school access, medical access, transit access, and walkability. So those are some of the variables that went into defining areas that the policy would preserve for housing, community housing. And then the other, I think, we'll be providing kind of the next step, the work session during the meeting with the Board Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners on the 16th of January, the public hearing on the 26th, and then the decision making by the board on the 28th. So we'll just be talking to the public about how to participate or come and listen in during those different opportunities. And the last kind of big talking point that we're going to leave with the community, that they can provide feedback, and also the Planning Commission and the board, is kind of what we've rolled out as 3 different options on looking at future STR use in Lake County. And so option A would be capping exactly where we are, which is 127 licenses. and not allowing any new standard licenses against that cap. Primary, which again offer that ability to kind of sustain local housing, would be able to continue to increase, but not our standard. That option is predictable. We already know where all of those exist, and the only way that standard licenses would be added to the mix is through attrition. So in the event that someone doesn't renew, then we put those into the available licenses, but we would have a predictable outcome. Option B is to consider that if we put these policies in place, we have essentially protected areas in the county that we think should be preserved for community housing, and we've put environmental protections in place to protect the environment as well. And so potentially there is room for some more of a controlled growth kind of approach. And so option B suggests or looks at what if we increase the licenses to 170, which would take our total housing stock from about 5.5% to 7.5%. The city of Leadville has 171 licensed STRs, and so this would allow some growth. It's unrealistic to think that all of those licenses would be filled in the first year. It probably would provide growth for a period of years to consider the viability, the economic viability of STRs, and again, keeping them more in the areas that they attribute in a meaningful way to the economy. The next option is not one that I would say that staff would immediately support, but it's certainly an option, and that is to apply no cap whatsoever to short-term rentals, except in the community neighborhood overlay. And so that would be the only protective kind of measure to the degree of use. And again, that would just keep those identified community housing areas to the current use, which is 19, and not allow for any standard licenses unless there was the loss of one at renewal, and then we would open those up. So that's kind of the cliff notes on tomorrow night. So again, this is a time for EPS will also come in, share their findings, and kind of align and bring more information around kind of the things that I've talked about tonight. So it'll also be a good time for the community to voice some thoughts on the regulations as we've suggested them, but the goal with them have been to create a balanced approach where we preserve community housing, we put in environmental protections, and we consider the economic benefit of short-term rentals within the community. So that's really been the goal of the work throughout. So that is it, unless you have some questions. I don't think I have anything else. Just wanted to, in case Heather or Howard aren't able to join us tomorrow night, I just wanted to kind of give you an early glimpse of what tomorrow's going to be like.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Any questions, Howard?
No, I don't. I think that's a pretty good presentation that you're going to give, and pretty thorough. So hopefully I can make that tomorrow night.
That sounds great, Howard. You either join us in person or we'll have it live on Zoom.
Awesome.
I have to do better with the Zoom than it happened tonight.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry about that. And we have a new owl in CPD, so we'll be getting there early, I'm sure, and testing it out.
I couldn't help that. I'm sorry.
No,
Nice job, Howard.
no problem. We've had a lot of owl mishaps.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we got on here.
That's it, and I think I made it.
Yeah, I think you made it. And there's
6
nothing to
minutes
do
to
here, so I
spare.
guess we'll just adjourn. Adjourned.
Bye,
Bye.
Sarah.
Bye,
Stay warm.
Howard.
Everybody stay warm.
You too.
So long.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And